Well, Peter McGuire is sitting right here with us in the studio. He's the Chief Executive Officer at XM Australia. Peter, thank you for joining us here in Mumbai. And what brings you here?
Well, Sonia, I'm here. I flew in for a couple of days. I'm probably getting swept up in the excitement as far as the cricket. I leave tomorrow afternoon. I'll be watching the game from Dubai. But I tell you what, it's going to be an exciting 48 hours for the Australians and see how we perform.
So the heart says Australia, but the head is saying...
Well, I think you guys are very hard to beat. But let's just see how New Zealand played. You know, they played incredibly. If the Aussies, or if we can probably take a little bit of that spirit, maybe it could be an interesting game.
And how are you feeling about the commodities market? I mean, oil has been all over the place, but where do you see it stabilise?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think there's probably a little bit further downdraft at the moment, and I wouldn't be surprised. And building on what Manisha said, 12% off in a week has just been electric. Great to short. US dollar index hitting that 107.30. It's given back a little bit of that heat as well. And any market that was parabolic over 100 days as far as move to the upside, it's not unusual to see exhaustion. And that's a technical term. So it gets exhausted to the upside. It takes a little bit of a breather. I think all the heat comes out of it. And that's what we've seen in that quick washout. And I think it'll consolidate around that $80 to $82 level.
What's with the OPEC and all the commentary which has been coming through? This morning, there was a headline which said that they plan to keep these output cuts all the way into 2024, not just till the end of the year. I mean, is OPEC really reasserting its place? Are they? I mean, what's going on? I mean, what's the...
Well, I think, Prashant, a couple of things. First off, they control, you know, the elephants in the room being Saudi and Russia. They control the flow as far as OPEC, I think. And having been to the meetings, they really are the big elephants. And they probably... are looking at where their budgets are. We've got a protracted war situation with Russia and Ukraine that hasn't been put to bed as yet, and that's costing, obviously, big amounts of revenue. And then the Saudis, naturally, they want higher oil prices. That's my understanding as far as from a budget issue as well. So if they roll that into 24, that's not going to be a good sign as far as, I think, inflation. And it's going to be very interesting how central banks play in all of that moving forward.
So I think there's an election in the US next year, right?
November, usually, and you guys got one in May.
Yeah, but so usually, you know, historically the US has been able to lean on the Saudis to keep the price low.
Yeah.
You think that's broken now? That
well, under the previous administration, I know that President Trump had a wonderful relationship with MBS, but that certainly is fractured compared to how the Biden administration are dealing with MBS. So I think it's going to be fascinating how it plays into 24. And, you know, what happens as far as equities, what happens with bond yields and the US dollar index. And I think that if inflation, if crude prices edge up higher from here, I think that's going to also take up petrodollar. So the US dollar, I think, will strengthen.
All right. Peter, you know, we recently saw $95, $97 per barrel on Brent.
Yeah.
Do you think the peak for the near-term peak has been made? And also, more importantly, our audience will be happy to see the correction that we've seen in Brent, but how much lower can we go from here?
I don't think there's too much more washout. You might get a couple of more bucks, maybe 86, 78 might be, you know, as far as resistance. And no, I think by Christmas you'll see it retest those highs again. Oh. Sorry to say, but I really feel as though that there's... a groundswell of as far as momentum to the upside.
Okay, all right.
As an investor, you know, someone who's perhaps watching you right now,
sure.
Any other commodities, any precious metals that you track that you think perhaps could be the big theme of next year?
Absolutely gold and silver. I think silver more so than gold, and I feel as though that the ratio is out of whack. So I think there's plenty of upside in those markets. And, keep a close eye on currencies. And I think precious is where you need to be.
But in gold, you know, if you map the last 10 years, right, the returns have been subpar, especially in a market like India. It's been barely 7-8%.
Sure.
Do you think things could change?
Yeah, I do. I think that they'll test those highs, and I feel as though 24, with high bond yields and a dollar raging, I won't be surprised to see risk possibly come off the table a little bit, and the flight to safety and gold will be it.
You know, Peter, you made a point about the ratio. What is it normally and what is it right now between gold and silver?
Well, you're running it around about, you know, 1,800 or 1,850 for gold and $22 or so for silver. So quickly do the math, you're probably running close to around about 85, 86. I'm just doing that in my head now. But it's traditionally far lower. Okay. So that ratio. So I feel as though that sweep up, you also got the industrial demand, and under, as far as from a mining perspective, silver is really a very hot commodity. So I think there's plenty of time for uptick for silver as well.
Peter, you've seen the 2006 to 2007-8 period closely as well. And, you know, it feels in some ways pretty similar. I mean, we had a 450 basis point rate hiking cycle by the Fed back then.
Sure.
It's pretty close this time around. I think 475 basis points this time as well. We're about a year and a half into this tightening cycle.
Correct.
And we're all kind of very assured that there is no big growth slowdown coming. Things are okay. Maybe it's just a lag, and maybe things will start to happen very fast on the downside in terms of growth.
Yes.
So
I'm following your theory. Yes.
So I mean, then commodities, that Christmas forecast, I mean, does that really hold, or you think that's only the story of next year, maybe?
Well, I feel as though that'll be a build into next year. You know, we're 3 months out from Christmas, so I feel as though that will be a storyline that'll start to shape so many different moving parts. You know, you've got the Russia and Saudi situation. You know, you've got as far as growth forecast moving forward, trimming back. Well, the World Bank was looking at China from 4.8 to 4.4%. So 24 is going to be a slower year from a growth perspective. I still think India is booming. You've only got to see it out here as far as, you know, construction and what's happening. So there are different parts of the global economy are under different headwinds. And I feel as though there's some parts of Asia that are really struggling.
Okay, well, we'll let you go on that note. Have a great weekend and enjoy your match. You're watching it in Dubai, you said?
Yes, I will be.
Okay, have a good time.
Good luck, India.
Yeah. Good luck to you guys as well. It's going to be a treat for viewers.
It certainly will be. It'll be an electric game.
It will. It'll be fun, and may the best man win, as they say. All right, thanks a lot for joining in.